Right, so
Okay,
we
so
gotta
who's-
wait. We gotta wait till we get the sign.
Okay.
We're just gonna sit here and have a little chat.
All
I'll ask you
right.
a bunch of questions near the end. I might ask if anybody in the audience has questions.
You know what I feel like? This is like one of these like political things on TV. Like there's like five people and like let's see what the Midwesterners think. Oh, I thought the debate was. It feels like I'm getting
It's just about
jury.
business, no politics discussed at all.
All
We
right.
are funded by the city of Savannah. We're not allowed to have an opinion. All right, so, you ready when we are? Are we live streaming too?
Yes,
We're live. We're out there too, so we are live streaming. So good evening. This is Jen Bonet with Creative Coast, and this is Entrepreneurs Night, our monthly event where we talk to an entrepreneur of some level of success and get their story, get the origin story, get their story, and see what they're doing, see how it's working, see what their challenges are, and how we might be able to help them as well. So today we have Kevin Dewalt with Prolego.
That's it. It's Greek for predict. So,
Okay.
AI company.
That was part of the question.
I'm sorry, right?
You went right in there.
Everybody always says, what is Prolego? Like, are you
Well,
professional Lego developers? Like, no.
That could be fun, huh? So we're here this evening on a cold night in Savannah, Georgia, and we're going to start it off with just, Kevin, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, like kind of pre-starting this company, what were you doing, what's your background, and yeah.
Great. Okay, so I've been in tech my whole career. Started out in the military, went to the Coast Guard Academy. They were nice enough to send me to Stanford for my master's in EE in the mid-90s, and I was a Coast Guard officer. I didn't know what to major in, but I was walking around looking at majors. I'm like, oh, like make algorithms that can think, like AI and neural networks. That sounds great. So I signed up for that, and it was about 6 months into that where I realized it was the middle of AI winter, and like no neural networks were doing anything. But
Right.
I did study neural networks and AI in grad school.
Right.
And then I spent the most of my career. After that, I've worked at a startup for a little bit. After I got out of the military, I worked at a startup as an employee for a while. And then I started my first company, .com era, and it just went like I'll tell you any details. It went like everybody else's .com era story. Same thing, right? I was like, I'm gonna be rich. And then the first time I sat down with the investors, they said, so when are you gonna be cash flow positive? And I literally did not know what the words meant. Like I did not know what they were asking me. So anyway, learned not a lot in that experience. Went some time at big companies and some time at Incutel, the strategic VC fund for the U.S. intelligence community, which is a great experience. And in my late 30s, I kind of was just looking at my career and trying to figure out, like, all right, what am I going to do? And for tech people, you either go like for the most part, you either go like the big company CIO, CTO route, or you do the startup route. And I'd worked in big companies, and I knew that was just the wrong choice, right? So it's not that I would sit around every once in a while over coffee with my friends and say, maybe I should be starting a company. I mean, like every day, every meeting, everything I did, I was like, I am in the wrong spot. I should be an entrepreneur. I felt that to my core, like that was what I was supposed to be doing. So for better or for worse, that I sort of left that world about 10 years ago and have been doing the startup stuff ever since. So this is now my 5th startup with breaks doing consulting and those projects and stuff in between some of those.
Awesome.
So,
and how'd you get to Savannah?
My wife's career brought us here. Yep.
Everyone's got a story.
Yeah,
Everyone's
that's
got a
it.
story. Lots of love stories, by the way. There's a lot of interest in
That's a love
Savannah,
story.
right? Right. So tell us about
Prolego.
Prolego.
Yeah, Prolego. So I was actually, my last startup was with a good friend of mine who had just finished out his earn-out from Apple, and we said, hey, we've always talked about doing a startup together, let's do machine learning, right? And so we were going to try to do machine learning for content marketing. It was ended up being a terrible idea, and once our ideas started not working out, it became clear that we just wanted different things out of starting a business. I mean, he was very much in the, I'm going to build a tech company, I'm going to go raise $5 million and build an awesome tech company in Silicon Valley, hire all my friends and go after it. And I was like, I want to do a revenue-driven company. Like, go get customers and get paid and not have to chase VCs. And in a very like as amicable as it could be, in a fun way, we sort of hugged it out and said, let's go our separate ways. He now has a venture-backed blockchain startup in Silicon Valley with all his friends running it and doing quite well. And I went out and started an AI services company and also doing well. So it ends well. So that's how I got. So I out of that experience, what I found is that I was going in and talking to executives about, hey, we're going to do AI content marketing magic, and they kind of would look at me and they're like, basically would say, look, we don't care about your crappy product, right? So, but while you're here, can you tell me about this AI thing? And it was the first time since the internet where I saw bigger companies and executives like excited and scared at the same time, where like they knew something big was happening. The way he did in the internet, when people would ask things like, well, where is the internet and what is, there was like those level of questions. They knew like something's happening and I know we're not there. And so that was my impetus to go into a boutique services company. And so yeah, that's how I got, that was the back of the napkin. I wanted to do AI for Fortune 500. So.
Excellent, excellent. Who was your first customer?
Not allowed to publicly say the name, but it is one of the largest defense contractors.
Sure.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And like, where are you at today as far as how many employees and or like contractors that are working
there's
under the Prolego?
Yeah, so there's 11 of us.
Okay.
That's always like the typical startup, like we have our core employees and we have all of those surrounding like contractors and free agents and freelancers that we work with.
Yeah.
And so that's what we average. We do have like 11 people, which is hard to believe, but
right.
Core employees 5 FTEs right now.
Excellent.
Everyone's technical but my business partner.
Okay. Excellent. And how many customers do you have? Approximately.
We have.
How many projects do you have going on at any given point in time? How
So
long
right
does the
now,
project last?
yeah, like I said, the background. So we have, I guess I would, the projects tend to like go up and down. So when a customer, you have them and when you don't have them is kind of nebulous, because sometimes you can have a proposal that is going to get funded, but they're not like paying you right then. So we've got a bunch of that. Right now we have 3 active Fortune 500 customers who are paying us. And so we're better than we've ever been before, but that doesn't stop me from losing sleep and being paranoid and everything else. So.
Yeah, it's part of it, right? That's part of it. That's the journey. Now you have a co-founder in this business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of the things that I stress to some of the young entrepreneurs that I meet is like, find a co-founder, somebody that complements your skills and has similar values and has a similar dream, and you will basically double your chance of success. So talk about how you found your co-founder, how you have balanced the workload between the two of you, and how you work together on an ongoing basis to scale the company.
Yeah, so I mean, I agree with your advice too, Jen, because I've done it alone a number of times, and it's never worked, right? And so for my last 2, I decided, well, doing it alone is not working. I'm also trying something else. I'm gonna make a different mistake this time. But it is freaking hard. Like it's really, really hard, and especially it's a bit easier when you're a college student or even younger, and you're in the same environment, and the same experience, and you all got the same amount of money in your bank account. You're all broke, and and so when you're around everybody, you're very social, and you're meeting, and you're like you're footloose and fancy free. As you get older, it gets harder. You have fewer relationships, you meet fewer people. A lot of the people who you would want as your co-founder are smart enough not to do this, right? So there's like an entire pool of the people you want to start a business with that are out. So you've got to finding the right person is really tough. And so we met through, he was actually, my business partner Russ had a data science services company in DC, and he was actually doing work for a company that I invested in. And the CEO of that company asked me to sit on the first kickoff call, and I was impressed with him and his team. And we ended up sort of collaborating, not formally, for about 6 months. And then we actually, he set up a meeting with NVIDIA and us, where they invited us to a meeting, and we sat around the conference, and he started talking about our potential partnership, and I was like, I couldn't do that. Like, that was good. Like, because we had nothing. And I mean, like, and we're talking to, like, NVIDIA in a room, and they're talking about us, like, strategy and sales and what we're doing. I was like, how the heck did we get here? I mean, like, so anyway, after that, I decided, okay, we have to give this a shot. Yeah, and then we went at it, and it took us 6 months to get our first deal, to get our first customers, and it was pretty frustrating. And sales and funding projects continues to be the number one and the number 1 through 5 challenge that we have.
So, but it is enterprise sales. So
It's enterprise
it is
sales, right?
Very large corporations,
Very
Fortune
large.
500.
They're slow. They take a long time.
Long sales cycles.
Right.
They've budgeted for possibly the next 3 years already.
Yeah, it's tough. But so I look around, like, we see other people like trying to do AI services, and there's 2 types of projects out there. There's a lot of like small $25,000 to $50,000 projects you can get with like a smallish company or maybe a funded startup to do some work for a couple months. And if you're like a freelancer, that's great. Like you can put food on the table on that. But if you're running a business, you can't, right? I mean, it's just the thrashing around and trying to get the deal done, and it's not practical to do that kind of work. So you have to you just have to go after bigger clients. And quite honestly, I like doing that because I feel like that's also where we have an advantage, because we're both older, we both work in big companies, we know how to meet executives and talk, we know politics and budgeting cycles, and like we're aware of all that. And I wasn't when I was in my 20s. I would have just walked in and blurted the whatever, you guys are all idiots, do it differently, right?
Right, yeah.
So, but everything you said is correct. It's long, it's hard.
Can you maybe try and give an example of a project? Because I think you hear AI services, I think most of the people that we talk to don't really understand what we're talking about with AI services. AI in general, let alone now a services-based organization around AI.
It's a great question. So we build software, right? We build software using machine learning. That's what we do. And machine learning is just a different way of building software where you use data to train algorithms to do a task. At traditional software development, a developer tells the computer exactly what to do. And machine learning uses data, you train an algorithm, and that does what you want it to do. And that's the big shift that's happening. So we work with big companies to help them think through where should they apply AI, less and less of that because they're getting smarter. Where should they apply? Train their people, like do workshops to get their mostly business people up to speed, also technical people. And then we do the technical work, and that usually involves some sort of pilot project where we'll come in there for a couple of months and build an algorithm using some of their historical data that gets a result, and then we put that algorithm into production. So some examples, everything that we get hired to do is either to help them make more money or save costs, right? And so some examples of that is they've got a business process they want to automate and start using machine learning to automate a task that's done by people. That's a pretty common one. Improve their sales and marketing. So do better at recommend what product should I buy, what stuff should I put on my website. Anyway, I could keep going. Any questions about AI or ML? I could talk about this all day long. So
I'm sure. So we talked a little bit about your co-founder and how you found them. So they're more the sales person, and you're more operations.
Yeah, splitting things up was really easy. He doesn't know what we're talking about. So no, that's actually not true. He's actually gotten along. But yeah, he's a sales. He does sales, biz dev, and he runs the business. Right. He does all of the contracting and payroll and benefits, which is the stuff that I hated doing. Okay. So it's freaking awesome.
And so you're more technical then.
I do. I was. Now we have people like employees who are much better than I am. So I'm more like I'm more sales and account management and basically running the engagements. So that's what I do.
Okay. And then he's not local, right?
He's in Whitefish, Montana.
Right. So how do you communicate? What kind of tools do you use? More and more companies are going remote. So what's your secret to managing a remote workforce?
Well, I've done a lot of remote work technically in my career. Like even when I was a big company, I was managing teams in India. I've had good success with it. So for me, it wasn't a shock. We basically decided from the get-go to do 100% remote. And quite honestly, a lot of that was because I wasn't going to move. He wanted to get out of DC and move to someplace else where he could have a better quality of life for his family. And then just as a matter of to be able to like pull from the best talent we can, we just have to go nationwide and find whoever we can. And if we had to build out our team in New York City, it's like, oh my God, our overhead, our costs, like this. Everything would just be so much harder. So we tend to try to recruit people from like the second and third tier cities as we have our best luck. We do it like everybody else does. I think part of it is we hire more experienced senior people, so there's not a lot of management.
Right.
You know, we have a daily stand-up, and then for the most part, everyone's work is self-directed. The people that get into this space, the engineers, they tend to be deeply passionate about it and want to do it, so they're already driven to
Right.
make a difference.
And for a 100% remote company, how do you think about establishing a corporate culture?
I don't
Or do
know.
you not worry about it?
I don't know. Like, I think
Yeah.
it just kind of evolved because I'm a little skeptical of like how intentional you can be in this stuff.
Mhm.
But I started thinking about it recently. Like I have it in my head. I haven't really shared it with the team yet, but like I see what's evolving based on who's doing well and enjoying the work here. I'm really skeptical of the generic, like, here's what our values are, and you can take everybody's corporate culture statement, and it all looks the same. So if I do put something together, I want it to be differentiated. Like I wanted someone to look at that and say, that's not me, right? You have to have a culture that excludes people. So things like autonomy, that's both in how you choose to work. We can work wherever you want, whenever you want, we don't care. Autonomy and ownership, right? Like you're responsible for your work. Those are some of the principles that I'm putting together, but I'm figuring it out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a challenging time though, because if you don't figure it out around this time, it figures itself out.
Yeah, you're probably right, but it's just you have to pick your things you're going to fight and worry about. That'll probably happen at some point. But.
And how much time do you have to spend at client sites? Like how much?
Not very much. A lot less than I would expect.
Traveling?
We typically will travel once every 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
I travel more than the team
Right.
does because I'm doing like sales and stuff like that. So for
Right.
me, that's fine. But I did not want to start a company where we had to be stuck in somebody's data center.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
wondering. That's
never have to. They don't care.
Are
They don't want us.
people having to go
No.
on site and be
We
at
would-
so-and-so's
they would-
desks, checking in every day.
Our people wouldn't stick around.
Yeah.
We don't do staff log, so all of our clients are, if they're not already on the cloud, they're migrating to the cloud, and sometimes our work is the first thing they've done on the cloud. So they're going there anyway. There's one company I was a little like I'd like you guys around here more often, and I just said it's not what we do. So yeah, our people really wouldn't stick around for it. It's not necessary, and honestly, it's a waste of their money. I look at our clients, and a lot of their engineers are just we are 3 to 4 times more efficient than them. They spend a lot of time in meetings and just overhead and if I have to sometimes I get drawn on one of these calls and I'm like, oh my god, this I drive me why do we're stealing from the shareholders right now. What are we doing in this? And it's just there's corporate cultures where everybody's solution to something is a meeting. We try not to have a lot of meetings.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, our engineers I don't hear from them, and they don't hear from me, and everything's working out. We're all happy, It's everyone's good.
Excellent. Now you've funded the business to date just through customer sales.
Yeah, basically through founders and customer sales. Yeah, so.
Would you envision seeking funding at any point in the future?
I'm going to avoid that
Mhm.
at all costs. So I think we may migrate towards products, but I really want to avoid raising money if possible, even if it means that the ultimate, what we end up pursuing is a lower bar, or if, or it doesn't work, right?
Yeah. My next question you started
Why?
to allude to was products.
Products, yeah.
Right?
We have a bunch of ideas that we've been tinkering around. Quite honestly, there's so many AI products out there that are funded, and the vast majority of them are, they're not getting any revenue, not getting customers. They're living based on their venture capital money.
Mhm.
And this is, anybody who's inside this, anybody in this business knows that. So I'm not in a rush to do another product company. I've done 5 of those in the past. I know what I'm getting into. So I mean, I love the economics of it and the higher margins. But it will have to be the right opportunity. So we've been testing things. We have ideas and we've tested them out with some of our clients, and they're like, it didn't work. So $20 million wasn't going to make it necessarily work.
Do you see trends like the similar projects or similar issues that you're solving across customers?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's starting to happen more and more where we're seeing patterns. Every client, every project is different. I think right now we're seeing a lot of interest in natural language processing, NLP, just because the cost is plummeting and the power of it is just accelerating. So we're getting a lot more into that. That is really enjoyable and fun. It's and there's also 9 bazillion NLP product companies out there too, right? But I mean, one of the challenges of being an AI product company is you're so much of your asset is driven by the underlying data, and so with traditional software, the reason it's always been this great business model is because I write something once and make that investment, I can sell it again and again and again and again. Everybody wins, right? You write a CRM and you can sell it at for a fraction of the cost, and you spread that across customers. And with AI, it's different because you can build the models, but the models are basically all free, right? And they're changing all the time. Right. So some team that's we've got a great NLP, we've got the world's greatest NLP model. Well, it's going to be obsolete in 2 weeks because Facebook is going to give one away.
Right.
So it naturally lends itself more towards custom development at this time. I mean, there will be plenty of companies that leverage AI along with infrastructure and everything else to make solutions, but.
I did an NLP system back in the day for CareCore.
All right.
Across the river to route all their calls that come in. So I was they'd enter their data or talk their data through the phone instead of going to a person, and then I'd route them to a doctor or a nurse, depending on that.
Okay.
Back in the day. Nuance. Yeah. Nuance
exactly.
Software.
That's
yeah,
right.
So I became very good friends with the vice president of strategy at Nuance.
Yeah, they're big players.
Art. So yeah. So on this journey, you've been at it how long? Wait, when did you start the company?
It's been
2 years,
2.5. I mean, it's like a blur between one startup ends and then one starts. We're coming up on 3 years.
3 years, right?
Yeah.
So, kind of, what has been your kind of biggest challenge today?
It's sales. It's sales. That's it. It's getting. It's finding the people in big companies who have projects they need help with.
Mm-hmm.
They're out there, but they don't self-identify.
Right.
And so nobody puts on their LinkedIn profile, I'm the looking for the AI officer, right? So you can we'll just go after the CTOs. They end up being the wrong persons, and so we think we're figuring that out. But we run experiments. I mean, it's Lean Startup 101. So for our sales term, we run like, okay, here's a hypothesis, and let's run it. We figured out that you can't run a 1 month experiment. You got to run like 2 or 3 months, and so that takes a long freaking time. So let's try direct sales. Let's try this market. Let's try this channel, and we're still doing that.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, there's no magic to it. Just knows the grindstone, hard work. I mean.
Yeah.
And my business partner, he does it full time. I mean, he's at this 50 hours a week working, LinkedIn, sales. We've got SDRs making outbound calls, content. We've tried it. We've tried it all. So, and then when you're early, I mean, I think that what we've also recognized is the market is early. Right? And so when you're early, it's hard to draw conclusions from small signals. Like, this person read it, this person bought it. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means that person read it.
They may be the only one.
Maybe the only one, right? But so when you're small, it takes us one, which is nice.
Awesome. I am going to let the audience ask a question or two if they.
So how do you keep from creating your own competitors from the people you hire, or your employees or your?
They don't want to do what I do. I want to do what they do. I'll switch jobs in a heartbeat. They definitely don't want to do what my co-founder does. So, yeah, it's so early. It's not really. We've got so many people who want to work with us. Like it's not hard for us to find people because there's a lot of people who want to get into this business and they don't want to sell. They don't want to spend 6 months chasing procurement around. So, it hasn't really happened.
Yeah, especially in the big companies, right? It's the procurement process is a long, lengthy process, even if they say yes.
Yeah, it's we don't. At some point that could come up, but it hasn't been an issue yet.
So the people you have working for you don't want to do what you do.
I don't want to do what I do sometimes.
Right.
I want to do what they're doing.
Yeah,
so
right.
most of the
It'd be
time.
more fun, right?
So there's
I got you.
I felt the same way in my first startup.
Yeah.
I ended up taking all the crappy jobs for myself. Like,
That's it.
I hired a bunch of programmers and I was the first customer service rep.
That's it,
right?
yeah.
There's no better way to know whether your product's buggy or not if you're taking the phone calls.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? And so I would take all the phone calls and all the emails about all the product issues, and then I'd work with my development team to get it fixed until we got big enough that I could afford to hire some customer service people.
That's you do what you got to do.
And it was not fun, like hundreds of emails a day, kind of thing, with people
Yeah.
complaining about this thing that you thought was beautiful. And
It's
they thought
not.
was
This is not
really
sexy,
ugly.
Not sexy work, that's for sure. You watch The Social Network or
Yeah.
Shark Tank or whatever. It's not. This is like
Yeah.
boring, tedious work.
Yeah. Mark, you've always got a good question.
Yes, across the enterprise, what are some of the common applications for AI and maybe some of the niche applications you've discovered?
So common applications are like product recommendation engines, right? So, and I would put in that also like what content we put on our website to drive the things that directly drive revenue. That's one of the big ones. We actually think of these in terms of product patterns. So like computer. So instead of like saying what can you do with it, it's like what's the fundamental capability. Computer vision is one, right? There's a bazillion algorithms you can do that, but that's like what can you do with computer vision? Well, you can do like biometrics and facial recognition. Autonomous vehicles. You have to pick your poison. And
Quality
then
control.
yeah, what's that?
Quality
control, all kinds of things. Yeah, we haven't done any computer vision work, but like NLPs and that's a bigger one we see just because we do a lot of financial services work and they have so much paper. Right? All their contracts, all their phone calls, all their chats, their messages, their emails, their HR applications, it's all paper. So it's really, if I'm looking like what's going to be a game changer for society, NLP is the one I've really been on at this point.
Follow-on question to that is obviously to develop these algorithms you require huge amounts of data, and that is data collected over time. That's certainly a skill set, is extracting that data, transforming it, loading it into your system. Any opportunities there in the enterprise in terms of how you acquire that data?
Yeah, so there's kind of two parts of that. So there's the do we have the data to train the models? And that's just a matter of going out and gathering it up and putting it in notebooks so that the data scientists can build it. And then the other part of it is actually processing all the data.
Yeah.
And that's the number one problem that our clients have right now. Like even if they're able to build their models and get things running, actually productionizing it and building all the code around it, that's the number one challenge that we see companies running into. It just it's software engineering, and there's just real shortage of talent to do that, more so than the machine learning work itself. Okay, Rusty.
On the business side of things, since 80% of all software projects fail for one way or another, and machine learning projects fail even at a higher rate, I would imagine, how do you handle the customer reaction when a project that you've kind of built and worked down the road of doesn't actually fulfill the business goals or doesn't actually work?
Yeah, it.
I mean, that may not ever happen to you, but
it does happen, and I think we've done a pretty decent job of setting expectations about this may not work, or we've been asked to do things where the person asking us knew what they were doing.
okay.
Like I don't know if it's going to work, but I want you to go investigate this.
So there's an assumption of risk in the
There's an
conversation
assumption of risk.
very early
Yeah,
on.
we had to set that out at the outset. Yeah. And then you also get to define success as you're building things on. So there's that's a lot of that. It's also reframing the problem.
Keeping the goalpost on wheels.
Yeah. Okay. The regression didn't work. We'll do the classification. So what if we did it this way? And then, but also with all of our engagements, we try to make helping them build foundational capabilities is a big part of it. And quite honestly, I think that's a lot. That they've told us that's why they hire us. It's not just that we can build one thing or an algorithm. They want to get their people trained. They want to learn how to build data engineering infrastructure. They want to know how to do collaboration between their data science and data engineering. Like there's so many things they have to do, and they want to learn from us how to do that. And so those have been our best engagements. So even if it's, even if the actual the thing we build doesn't produce magic, it's everything else around it.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's a good explanation of the value between just the model and the engine.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
You ever had a situation where you went in to find one thing and you stumbled across something that was 10 times or 100 times more interesting to the customer than what you were hired to look at?
I think I would say that it's more like we were hired to do something and the customer put us on something more interesting. That's the one we've had happen, where they brought us in to start a project, we're grinding through it, and they realized, look, these guys are good, go work on the harder thing. And I'm like, sweet, you guys can handle the easy one.
Another question was, let's say that you do that and you're successful, and 18 months later you deliver the product, and it changes fundamental business processes, which changes the underlying data that you modeled on.
Right.
Now, is that like a...
It's continuous, yeah. So you're always bringing in new data and updating things. We haven't had a situation like that I know. But I think we might be gone by the time that starts to happen. Our hope is at that point they're able to adapt the model. So the data changes, you retrain. at the simplest level, the data changes, you retrain the model, you deploy a new model, you're done. But usually everything else kind of changes around it.
So you said a minute ago that the market was early. When do you think it will not be early, and what will it look
Yeah, I
like?
hope soon, but it might. I think we'll probably look back on it. Like Russ and I talk about this every freaking day. Like, you know, so like when will we look back on it? It'll probably look back on it and say, wow, that actually was the moment things. We just didn't realize it until 6 months later. So I think when we wake up and like, the way I joke is like when we don't have time, when we don't have time to sleep. That's a good reason that the market has turned, right? But I think when we start seeing more demand, then we have capacity to fill. And we're at capacity now, so that may be, we may be there, but I'm patient. I'm not anxious for that to happen. It's kind of nice now. Like I got a great team. Our clients like us. You know, I still get to do some technical work. I get to work with it. It's like, it's pretty good. If we double in size, then I'll be doing more and more of the, you know, coordination and less of the actual work. So there's a part of me that wants to enjoy the journey with this one a little bit, not in a rush to trip.
That's about that size. That 15 and less people is actually my favorite size.
Yeah,
too.
it's fun. You start getting above that.
It's
you
more
gotta-
than 4, so.
Where's our HR policy?
You
I'm like,
know,
oh god.
it's really fun, you know. Yeah, but
So how do you go about prospecting? How do you find somebody inside that corporate maze?
Oh man, how much time
How do you
have?
decide to go look? How do you
We're
invest
trying
time?
everything we can think of. We use LinkedIn. Name a tactic. We've tried it. With conferences, LinkedIn, direct email, outbound sales calls, you know, cold calling, workshops, brown bags, knocking on doors. I mean, calling in favor. I mean, we've tried everything you can imagine. We keep trying everything to find clients. It's the hardest part.
Are you using AI to?
No AI. It's all just. It's not a good AI problem right now because we don't know what problem we're solving yet. It's still in the discovery phase. There's nothing to scale yet. So.
And one tactic isn't more effective than the other ones?
Well, I should have just played you the conversation I had earlier today. Yeah, but we're just, you know, my business partner called me. He's like, man, I'm not sure if I should do this or not. And I'm like, and I hate talking about this topic because I just like doing the work and everything. And every time he calls me and wants to talk about the sales stuff, I'm like, God, I just want this freaking thing to go away. But I got to help him think through this thing. And it's like, yeah, okay, we tried this tactic for 6 months. Is it working or not? Well, sort of. Oh, we got one. Okay, we got one. Okay, we could keep doing that, or we could try something else. Well, what if we try this one thing? Well, how's that going to work? Well, I don't know. How's it going to help us like find the people we want to find? I mean, I think we have gotten better at knowing who we want to find, right? And like knowing who the person is in a persona, and being able to kind of like look around in the company and find who that person is, if they exist in their public. We've gotten better at that, but we haven't figured out yet how to reach them at scale. But when we find that person, we just drop what we're doing. Like I'm flying to Atlanta tomorrow to meet with somebody who's one of those people, and I'm going for a coffee meeting, right? So 30-minute coffee. I'm going all the way, and I'm flying to Atlanta and back, and it's because it's that hard to find these people. We find them. We got to do whatever it takes to build a relationship with them.
What have you learned about LinkedIn?
What's that?
What have you learned from trying LinkedIn?
I've learned that I'm glad he's doing it. I'm not. So there's that. Executives do spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, but there's also so many people selling stuff. It's just incredibly hard to get above the noise. It's really, really tough. And you can make content and you get a lot of views and everything, but how does that translate into relationships? And it's not clear yet to us whether that is going to be a good channel for continuing to build awareness and like keeping ourselves on top of mind versus actual prospecting. We do prospecting. We've had some luck with that, but it's. I mean, I will like. So we wrote a book called Become an AI Company in 90 Days that's designed for executives. And we have hard copies of that book. And so my business partner has been finding executives on LinkedIn, connecting with them, and physically mailing them copies of the book to their office. And so if that sounds fun, it is not. I mean, he's running a post office out of his office. And so it's just mailing notes, package up, walk down to the post office with 50 boxes. And so that's what we're going through to try to reach people. And we're trying to figure out if that channel is effective or not.
Do you track that? I mean, are you
Yeah.
really putting the metrics in and kind of figuring out
We
what your...
track that. The problem is that it's the we can track our activity, but it's the outcomes that are tough to track because you're looking at like small. Okay, we had a meeting with this person. Well, it didn't go anywhere. Was that good? Was that not? Like
Yeah.
we had a second meeting with that person. We had 20 meetings with that person. There's still. There's a
lot of latency, just between...
Yeah.
Could be a year later.
It's enterprise sales.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're right. Yeah. So it's not a. Yeah,
it's
that's
enterprise
it.
sales.
Yeah.
Right?
So you must be very willing to invest many zeros on each lead before you actually can close that.
Yeah.
You can have an amazing product and it can take you 3 years to
Yeah.
sell into a hospital.
Yeah, really.
Right?
Yeah, it's brutal.
Just, education system's the same thing.
Yeah.
You can have an amazing product, and also, if you don't sell in a timely manner in the education system, you lose your opportunity to implement the software for another year, right?
Right.
So I mean, it's just, that's how it
It's-
works in large companies,
Yeah,
right?
it is, and it's why a lot of people don't want to do it.
Hmm.
I mean,
We should talk about your Atlanta trip offline.
Okay.
See if there's anybody.
So I'll give it. Let me get
Anybody
a
I
good,
can make intros to in
Okay.
Atlanta, because
awesome.
my
Love
Rolodex is
intros.
pretty good there.
Yes, I should have hit you up sooner. The good side is when you get an enterprise customer, you can make it long engaged. Like they have no shortage of problems. It's not hard to find things to solve. So that's the good side of doing it. Is you can really you can do well if you execute well. Which just brings it to like, my number one job is to execute. That's it. Well, however, the hiring the people, helping them out, removing obstacles so our people can be successful. That's calling the customers and calming them down. They're freaking out. So that's it. That's what it all comes down to.
Cool. Let's flip the questions a little bit more towards talent. There's probably people that are watching or going to watch this that are interested in having a career in this new field of AI data science.
Yep.
What would your recommendation be as far as the training path that they should be pursuing? Bachelor's degree, PhDs. Is there a boot camp for AI data science, like coding boot camps?
So I'm probably not the
Well,
I'm probably not the best person to ask because
Yeah.
I got into this 20-some years ago, and
But like as far as what you're hiring today, what
Okay,
are you
that's
hoping
easier
those
for me.
skills that those people have, and what do they
Yeah.
look like? What does
So
their ideal
there
candidate
are basically, for us, you kind of have to have, the way I think about it is like, if you really want to distinguish yourself in this field and you want to work at a company like ours, you have to have one of two things, or both. Not many people have both. You either have to be very good at like taking math in papers and actually turning it into code, and like being able to work at a research like Google or Apple level where you're pushing the limits. Being able to go and win Kaggle contests and what you learn at boot camp isn't that, and you kind of have to have. I don't have a PhD, but we basically try to hire PhDs because they have the experience of doing independent, self-directed research. And for some of these problems that we get very open-ended ones. I did not expect this when I started the company. I expected us to be doing a lot of, repeatable, download an algorithm, train it with a company, and go on to something else, but they actually do a lot of that themselves. So that's one skill, or you have to be a good software engineer. And so if you have one of those, if you're really good at writing software, then you can build an algorithm and put it into production for people. And that's a distinguishing talent. So if you're one of those two things, that's what I would recommend anybody's career to do.
preferred language or program? for
Python.
someone?
Yeah.
Figured. Got some good
Are
Python
there
students
other-
learning at
are there
Georgia,
other- yeah.
Georgia Southern University.
I don't think we run into
Shout out
much
to Georgia
else.
Southern University. All right, any other questions?
I priced an AI developer in the Bay Area just
Mhm.
last week. $250,000 is what they were asking.
Yeah, about there, definitely, yeah.
Even that's almost a deal.
Yeah, and you may not be getting any presented name as good talent.
That was
either, so-
full-time
Yeah.
FTE. And
Yeah, and you're not gonna be getting good talent either.
Yeah.
And honestly, cost of living, they probably have a,
4 roommates?
Yeah, it's so rough, right? Commute and everything.
1 bedroom apartment
Yeah.
with bunk beds.
But I mean,
We had
there
that
are,
in New York back
You could
then.
probably get the similar talent through Eastern Europe and some of these places that.
we haven't tried overseas, but there is not a, I do not believe there is a talent shortage in AI. And I know that people are gonna be stunned to hear me say, because everybody's talking about there's a talent shortage, but there's a shortage of every good technical skill. There's a shortage of Java developers, right? I mean, how many freaking Java developers are there? There's a bazillion of them, but there's also a bazillion projects.
Yeah.
There are fewer good AI projects, and there are a lot of really, really smart, talented people that want to get into the space. You just have to be smart about who you're looking for and give people an opportunity to distinguish themselves. And so look for the people who are, they've come out of an academic background, or they're really hungry to learn this, or they're a software engineer who has said, you know what, I know how to write code, this is what I really want to do. Those are the kind of people that I run into that I'm really excited about. Boot camp stuff, you can go work at a company, but it's the beginning of a long road.
How do you qualify those people that you think have what you want? How do you satisfy yourself that, I mean, you're gonna be counting on them, right?
Yeah.
How do you screen them?
It's really tough. We kind of won the hiring lottery with some of our early hires, so we got incredibly lucky. In other cases, it hasn't really worked out. So we do have like coding tests and stuff like that, but those are just tough to figure out how to do. I just have a really extensive interview process, and we're just interviewing people all the time. And to some degree, it's a crapshoot. Some people just don't work. Some people who look great don't work out. And some people who do. So I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I think we're getting better at it. It wasn't a very good answer. That's a
Well, and
really,
I'm sure
really
you're
hard.
1099 people before you bring them on as a
We did a little
FTE,
bit.
So at least you're.
Yeah, we did a little bit but for the most part, we had longer term contracts, and we wanted to make a commitment to people and make them make a commitment to us, and so we try to do FTEs whenever we can.
There used to be real aptitude tests.
Yeah, it's just the coding tests are just tough. It's a little bit easier on the data engineering side, but on the machine learning side, it's tough because you can give somebody like a simple out of the book test. But anyway, we haven't figured out how to do it yet. But we're getting better at it.
I've always had a harder time hiring for the interpersonal skills and communication skills than the coding skills, right? So making sure that they're fit with the team and the culture that we're creating and all that stuff. Usually, sometimes the most amazing coder is not a good team player. Right?
Yeah, I screen that out in the interview
And
process though, because
that's always been hard.
yeah, they have. It's even for us, it's even hard. They have to present the clients, and so my first interview, it's like if it's really awkward, I'm like, man, it's just you're not gonna like this. So that was an easier one for me to screen out because they have to be able to communicate well.
How much do people cost? Your people cost?
I mean, it totally varies.
I mean, but what's the range?
I don't want to go into that.
Okay.
Like
He'll whisper to you afterwards.
Speaks to the marketplace.
it's not
That was
like
my question.
it's-
Do you have to pay somebody $100,000? Or?
It depends what we're doing. I mean, it depends on the role what we're doing. I mean, it's all honestly, it's all
200.
over the place. It's
300.
it's all over the place. Like so, yes. So we're not paying anyone $300,000 a year.
You're right.
Probably get some flexibility too, just because it's remote and they can live wherever they
Yeah, I
want.
mean, so we also there are like half of our company, including me, could drop what we're doing, go to New York and make whatever you want to make, work in a big company. Like those jobs are absolutely out there. Like I don't want to do that. Our team doesn't want to do that. So it's not all about money. It's like it's the quality of life. It's the fact we have weekends free. We don't want to work I don't want to work on the weekends and evenings. They don't either. So you don't have to travel a lot. It's the nature of the work. So there's lots more than just that. But yeah, we got to pay people.
Kevin, there's been a lot of discussion about AI and its effect in the workplace. In the future, for your clients,
Mhm.
you are training them how to train the AI systems that you're developing. That is a skill set in and of itself that is something that has to be transferable and
Right.
educated with your clients.
Yeah. That's been training them how to do this is a big part of what we do.
Do you ever see an intersection between robotic process automation and what you're doing in AI?
I just stay away from all that stuff. I mean, it's mostly like RPA ends up being what I've seen of RPA. I don't mean to belittle RPA because in truth I don't know a lot about it. But my encounters with it have been projects at companies where the AI and the RPA thing is lumped into the same person, and they're usually working on the RPA thing. And what they're usually doing is they're hiring low cost people offshore to automate filling out forms and doing stuff like that. And so it's not. I mean, it's sort of a stopgap for AI, but there's not a lot of. I mean, there's a lot of people spending money on it now, and but you're getting like incremental savings. We meet clients that have invested 2 or 3 years in this stuff, and they're like, what are we getting out of all this? And it's not like they're investing in something like AI that's transformative. They're investing in something that's like purely a cost-saving measure that's not meeting up its goals, and it doesn't inspire anybody. So it's just we just kind of stay away from it. But again, it's not something I know a ton about.
How do you establish credibility with your prospects?
With prospects through education, through teaching. So we meet with them.
So you start a process of, we're going to educate you some, and
meeting
kind of stuff.
Meeting tomorrow. Hey, we're having great luck with NLP at some of your competitors. You got a half hour with the come in to share with what we're learning. Just give it all away. So that's everything. That's how we get their attention, to teach them something. Add value from the get-go.
And you get to know other people in the process. So.
Yeah, try to get their attention, get on the radar. Our workshops, boot camps. We did a boot camp with MIT online, and that worked well for us. So we've got a couple things like that. I'm getting more and more podcast interviews. I did one yesterday, so I mean that helps build awareness too.
Excellent. Let's shift gears back to kind of the entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
Right. You've done a number of startups.
Oh, man.
Bumpy road.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of experience in this. Advice to our entrepreneurs and prospective entrepreneurs in the audience.
Yeah, John, I think about this more and more. I guess as I'm going to be turning 50 next year, so you kind of start looking back on your career, and I would say what I've realized most in the last couple of years, how much randomness and luck there is in this game. Like, if it's, I look at where we're at now, and a couple of things went right for us very early on. Like if I hadn't been at that conference, and that meeting, or that call, we wouldn't have gotten that client. Or there were just things that worked out. And a lot of the startups, like those things didn't happen. Like I could take the success we've had here. Like we were at that conference that day. Someone I used to know came up and gave me a hug and said, "Oh my gosh, you guys doing AI? My boss has got money he needs to spend." I mean, like, you're there like dying at a conference, it's like falls out of the sky, right? And then we're out at lunch, and next we got a proposal in, and before you know it, we're off to the races. Like, it didn't happen in other startups. Like, why? I mean, so I see that myself, the companies I've invested in, and it's just, you just have to be willing to stick it out long enough, either in the startup you're in to get lucky, or through multiple ones to give yourself a chance. And I look back on the friends I have who are about my age or a little older and who've been doing this for 10, 15, 20 years, and there's not a lot of success stories. I really have to say, it's like, I don't mean this to be like Debbie Downer here. I love what I do, and I would not do anything else. But it's you have to just accept the fact that your odds of having that big exit to Apple or that IPO are shockingly low. And most of the exits, I sold my company, this company. When you actually look behind the scenes, oftentimes a person would have been better off shutting it down after a year and a half than slugging it out. So I would say plan for the long haul, organize your lifestyle in a way that allows you that gives you time. And if it's not working after a year, shut it down. Like, just kill it. It's just some of the best decisions I made were shutting things down. If anything, I should have shut them down sooner. But if you're into something a year to 2 years and you're not seeing it's not going the way you want, life's too short. Just shut it down and try something else. Give yourself another swing at the bat.
Awesome. Thank you.
No, I don't know if that helps. I don't tell you to quit more, but you should probably quit.
Thank you. So we are
validating.
So I'm going to wrap this up for your sake. Thanks for being here, and thanks for joining us. We will not have an Entrepreneurs Night in December because it is our second annual community holiday party. So we'll be here at the Novel Co-work on December 12th from 6 to 8. Tickets are available on Eventbrite right now. It is $10 ahead of time, $20 day of. We are raising money for Santa's Pantry, a local Savannah charity that their mission is to ensure that no child goes hungry over the Christmas holiday break. And so we're really hoping to raise $3,000 such that they can literally achieve their mission. They told me if I got them a $3,000 check, they would have no problem feeding every kid in Savannah. So that's our goal.
Wow.
This event is in partnership with Tech SAV and with Novel Co-work, as well as a number of other organizations that will hopefully come to the table with a little bit of money towards Santa's Pantry. So we hope to see you on December 12th, and thanks for being here.
Awesome. Great questions, thank you.
Okay, we're off. If you want to ask any really tough questions,